Should I borrow against my Bitcoin? If I had a Satoshi for every time someone asked me that, I'd probably retire in a week. I know this is on everybody's mind. It is like the most asked question, hands down. The appeal of this is obviously very exciting, but before you get carried away, let's break down the risks and look at this intelligently. In short, for most people, I would say the answer is no. And here's why. I don't think we're past the volatility of Bitcoin. I know we have a lot of bullish news and there's a lot of, big buyers, and everybody anticipates that the cycles of Bitcoin are no longer going to be the same and that we're no longer going to see these big drops, in price because now, big players are buying it to hold and never spend and all that fun stuff, which may be true, but no one has a crystal ball. No one can predict the future. All it takes is for one unexpected event, not that it's going to kill Bitcoin, but it might trigger enough volatility that it could wipe out most people that are borrowing against their Bitcoin. So that's a massive risk that people seem to overlook, amidst all the excitement. And you shouldn't. The other thing is counterparty risk. Most of the platforms that, give you that possibility are all custodial. So you're giving up a lot of information, a lot of private and personal information to these platforms, and you have no idea how well they manage them. What if they get hacked? What if they get leaked? What if the whole platform goes bankrupt and your Bitcoin is stuck there? Then what? Then you're out of luck. So there's also that risk that, a lot of people seem to overlook because they assume, oh, that's a great company. Oh, I know the people running it, they're good people, which is maybe fine. But again, when things go bad, they happen out of nowhere and they happen really fast. So you need to keep that in mind. The other thing is that most people that want to borrow against Bitcoin seem to want to do so for, in my opinion, very silly reasons. Spending on nonsense. You don't want to do this. If you're going to borrow against Bitcoin, for one, you probably need to have a lot of it and use a very small portion of it, as collateral. So, for example, if you wanted to borrow, say, against one Bitcoin and take out $50,000 worth of either fiat or stable coins, in my opinion, you need to have at least 7 or 8 Bitcoins sitting on standby in case you get a call or something unexpected happens where you have to provide a lot more liquidity in order to avoid you losing that initial Bitcoin that you put. Most people don't have that kind of backup. And if you don't, playing that game is very dangerous, and I would strongly recommend you avoid it. At some point, Bitcoin's volatility will subside considerably, and it would be, I guess, safer to assume that we're not going to see these huge swings. But we're not there yet. And another thing that's really important that, you need people to remember is that Bitcoin is money, okay? By playing all these games, you are extending the lifeline of fiat currencies. The very thing that Bitcoin was created to completely replace with sound money that no one can control or manipulate. That fundamental fact must never be forgotten. If you can't afford something, don't buy it. I know it sucks to hear this, but common sense would dictate that you just wait until you actually can afford it and then go for it. Debt and leverage is how most people are going to lose their money, especially their Bitcoin, and that's going to be an extremely painful lesson. So if you're going to do it, please study it first. Make sure you are aware of all the risks, and there are plenty. I've just disclosed, a handful of them, but there are a lot more that you need to be aware of. There's no such thing as easy money. So get that out of your head and focus on holding your Bitcoin in full self-custody and finding ways to earn more income in order to increase your stack while you still can. Thank you.